Good day, everyone. Welcome to the Unified Interface Playbook Chapter 2. This is the second chapter of a series of Unified Interface webinars that the FastTrack team is delivering. We'll have Chapter 3 and 4 in the 19th of August and 26th of August. And during this session, we'll focus on helping you review your application in the modern Unified Interface, explore the speed and the new features and controls delivered in this functionality. This session will be delivered by Martin Staruski. He's a senior FastTrack engineer. So without further ado, Martin, the floor is yours.
Thank you, João. So welcome everybody. This is, as JP already said, this is the second chapter of our Unified Interface playbook. If you are interested about the more details about our Unified Interface playbook or some additional content, you can find it on our community web, which is going live hopefully beginning of August, where you will find also this presentation and other additional content which we are preparing for this topic. Hopefully you were able to attend our first webinar, which was focused on chapter 1, which talks really about what is unified interface, why you should care about unified interface, and also what is new. This chapter talks about how to start and explore unified interface. And then we will have also two other chapters in second half of August, which will talk about the transition and an optimized part of this journey. The goal of this meeting is really to show you that how easily you can start exploring new capabilities and features which are available in Unified Interface. And also how easily you can really pilot some of the new applications without really causing any impact of your existing system. These findings will really help you to better decide what is the right transition path for you, which we will touch a little bit lightly during this session and deeply during the next chapter 3. The most important is really to be compatible with the unified interface, so you wouldn't be limited only for an existing features which are available in web client, but you will be able to also get benefit from new features which are available only in unified interface, because we are delivering new capabilities and features only for unified interface. In the first chapter, we showed you a lot of new features. And now let's have a look how you can start. In general, we are saying it really doesn't matter how you will start. The most important is really that you will start. Try to also keep in mind that unified interface is really not same interface as a web client. We took this one as an opportunity and we redesigned a lot of the features and design patterns. Try to really also identify some of the issues with your customizations. Try to really set up some plan with them, and also keep in mind that there can be also some changes in your business process. So maybe some improvements. Maybe there are some business processes which are not valid in your implementation anymore, because, for example, maybe your business already changed. So all of these changes is good to really have in your plan as a part of the transition to unified interface. First thing which we will talk about today is something what we call quick test. Quick test is something what you are able to do with your IT team, and it could really give you some kind of the chance to see your customizations in unified interface without really making any breaking changes. And also it will give you a chance to really see how much you are compatible with unified interface, or how much your existing customizations are compatible with the latest features which we are introduced in unified interface. Quick test will really help you to find out areas which maybe need some adjustments, or which maybe will need to be completely replaced, or can be replaced with some of the new capabilities which we delivered as out of the box. Quick test really should help you with your decision about the next steps and help you with selecting the right transition plan, because there is multiple different ways which you actually can really select. So quick test will really help you to with this decision. The first possible way which you can go is a parallel app. Parallel app is something what will really help you to deep dive in your customizations and take a look what are really the necessary changes. You can also deliver this type of the parallel app to your users, so to your acceptance and production environments. And it's good to consider this type of the app for customers where basically they don't have maybe so much time, or they don't have resources, or maybe based on the quick test they identify a high number of issues, so they really they didn't identify a lot of issues, so they know that for them they will require just small adjustments, and then they are able to run their system in unified interface without any problems. The next type of the application or approach is a pilot app. Pilot app is something where you can start really piloting some of the new features and capabilities. So this is also a right choice for customers which really want to just start testing and providing some kind of the preview for some of their key stakeholders, that how they will accept new interface within the Dynamics 365. But it's also good for small use cases where you can deploy this type of the app to small user group. But of course, it must bring a high value for them for have a valid adoption of this application. If we will take a little bit deeper on a quick test itself, it's really just a test of what you have today for giving you an idea of the required work for your transition. And it will help you to identify an amount of work. But of course, this amount of work depends on multiple factors. So for example, on the level of your customizations, if your customizations are aligned with our SDK, deprecations and APIs, and also maybe some information flow can require some tweaking. Quick test will allow you to spot patterns of areas that require some changes, so you can plan effectively for the next stage. Before we will start, you will be able to start with quick test. You will need some kind of environment where you will start when you will do this test. What we recommend is really to use production or acceptance environment and create a copy of this environment for this specific test. There is several reasons why we're recommending this one. One of the reason is really that for being able to run a valid testing, you need the latest customizations, so same level of customizations as you have in your production environment. And sometimes you also need some sample data for being able to run some of your test cases and scenarios. Since we are working or recommending you to work with a copy of production and acceptance environment, it's also very important to keep in mind that this environment can contain some of the processes and integrations. So for example, server-side synchronization or some of the outgoing integrations with your on-premise systems, which as soon as you will create a copy of that environment can cause some disruptive changes for you. So for example, your customers could get some emails twice, or some of the integrations can be broken because source data will come from two different source instances. So it's really keep in mind and review what you have implemented in your system and what will happen, and if it's safe to create a copy of these environments. The last step in the preparation for a quick test is enabling unified interface mode, which we will touch in a second, and also enabling a new UI features which we are delivering to you. Since we are really coming very closely to beginning of August, when you probably know that that UI features which will be delivered in release wave 2 will be available. So since that time, you will be able to enable it also for this instance, and you can start performing these tests. What is also important to mention here, that unified interface only mode can be also enabled and disabled any point of time. But when you are enabling preview features, you have to keep in mind that this setting cannot be reverted back. So please really try to use a copy of your environment and not environment which you are actively using for your development, because then as soon as you will enable some of these preview features, you will not be able to revert it back. In case of the testing, we are recommending to start with the business critical use cases and then continue with regular tests. If you are using some of the automated UI testing, like for example Easy Repro, please use it. What is also very important to keep in mind when you will do this type of the testing in unified interface in general is really revisit how your users are using the system, if it's still valid, or if there is maybe some better way how they can use and being a system more beneficial for them. The results of this quick test should be really that you should be aware that if you are compatible with unified interface and how much necessary changes you need to make to be able to be compatible with unified interface. Also, if there are maybe some, if there is maybe some space for usability improvements, and all of this information should give you enough details for being able to select the right transition plan and align on next steps. If we will take a look a little bit deeper on unified interface only mode, what is it and how it works? So in general, you probably know that you can have two different types of the applications. One is web client, which you probably are using today, and another one is unified interface. This type of the application is a parameter of the app, so it's a definition. When you enable a unified interface only mode, then basically this application type is fully ignored, and we are rendering all your applications in unified interface. Nevertheless, if it's defined as a web client or unified interface application. This setting is specifically for selected instance, so you can enable it only for one instance and you don't need to enable it for all of your instances. And also, as I already mentioned, you can revert it back at any point of time, and it's actually not making any changes in your existing customization. So if you will enable it, run some testing, and then you will decide to disable it, that's completely fine. Everything will work as it was working before you enable this setting. So let's have a look how you can actually enable this unified interface. There is multiple ways how you can do it. What we are recommending is the latest one, and it's via Power Platform Admin Center. So if you will go to Power Platform Admin Center and you will find your existing environment, then you can open that environment, and on the top menu you will see a settings button, which will open you some more settings. Then under the product area you will open a behavior where you will already find a button use unified interface only. It means that this button will immediately, as soon as you will save it, of course, it will immediately activate a new unified interface only mode for you, and you can start with the testing. How it looks in general. So if you will open your instance, for example, you can use also your default application. So you maybe know this is a default sitemap introduced in Dynamics CRM previously. So this is a default app. And as soon as I enable unified interface only mode, and I just refresh that page, you will see that my application, which is defined as an application of type web client, is rendered in unified interface. There is really no anything else what I need to do. So since that time, I'm able to start doing some of the testing and so on. What is also important to say here is that you probably see that there is a warning message that this application was designed as a legacy one, and we should consider converting it to unified interface and maybe make some adjustments for this one. This warning message is visible only for users with system administrator and system customizer role, but it will not be visible for your end users. So even if you will allow some of your key users to access instance which has enabled unified interface only mode, they will not see that error that warning message there. So currently, you are probably using a web client, and you definitely don't want to break what you are using today, but you would like to add something new. Each customer will have probably the different transition path based on the types of the application which they are using, deployment size, and other details. There will be probably customers where they will not maybe identify a lot of the necessary changes which they need to do after quick test, or where they basically don't have time and resources for investing a lot in the unified interface transition, but they really want to be compatible with unified interface. So they can select a path with the parallel app. There can be also customers or another group of customers which will say that they would like to really take this one as an opportunity for them and bringing really a new experience with the new features, or maybe use it for some kind of the proof of concept. Then there is something what we call pilot app. As I already mentioned, pilot app is something for specific use case. It should be really a small use case for a selected group of your users, and it should be really delivered in short term. Both of these applications, parallel app and also pilot app, can be delivered to your production, and based on security rules, you can allow access to these applications only for selected users, so maybe only for key users, or maybe some specific team in your company. In case of the pilot app, is really a good chance for bringing something new for your users. And that's something what you can do almost immediately or deliver it in a short term. It doesn't need to be a final version, because each of these applications should be improved during the time, but it can be something as a preview. One of the story from one of our customers was that they also decided that they would like to use a pilot app for their approach for some kind of the proof of concept. So they would like to really know that what is the initial feedback of their users about the unified interface. So they have created a pilot app. They say to users, okay, we will give you this pilot app, let's say for 3 weeks, and then we will just deactivate it for you. But this is something what we are thinking that we will bring broadly. And you would be really surprised at what was the feedback after these 3 weeks, because then these users which were able to test this pilot app were coming back to the team and saying that they would like to use unified interface only, that they are not happy with the web client. So that can be also an option maybe for you to use selected approach, do some kind of the preview for your users, and get their feedback, which hopefully will be positive, because there is a lot of positive things on a unified interface. If we will take a little bit deeper on a parallel app, so parallel app is really about the working what you already have and just showcasing it within the unified interface. You probably know app concept. So app concept is a way how you can bring a tailored experience to a group of your users, allowing them to only see what they need to see. And access to these apps can be filtered by security roles, so you can define which users will have available which apps. Since this app can be deployed to acceptance or a production environment, it should be really part of your standard application lifecycle management. And because of this reason, we are recommending that you should use the same process of creating features and deploying them to other environments as you are using for your existing deployment. That's the reason why you can see that we are recommending to use your existing development environment. A parallel app approach is about really deep diving into your customizations. So in a quick test, we were able to, from high level point of view or from user point of view, identify what are some maybe problematic areas. And now we should really go deeper. What exactly are the problems? What will be maybe amount of work, or if we need to maybe completely redesign that feature. If we are talking about web resources or custom JavaScript, that's something what can help you is called Power Apps Solution Checker. Power Apps Solution Checker is a tool which you already have available, so you can start using it, and it will do some kind of a quick code review for you, and it will help you for identification, for example, of deprecated features or some maybe potential blockers for your work. The first step which we need to do is to create a new app from an existing sitemap. Again, there is multiple ways how you can create a new app, but we are showing you the latest one. So you can use our Maker Experience portal. And then what we are recommending is really to use your existing solution, because we expect that you will want to move your solution across your environment or as part of your application lifecycle management. So you will go to your solutions, you will select your solution where you have your existing application and sitemap. And from a new menu, you will just select app and then model-driven app. It will open in a new tab, new app designer, where we will need to fill a couple of fields. The first field which we need to enter is the name of the application. That's something what is completely up to you. Then we will also need to enter a unique name, or we will have it pre-filled, but if we want to change it, we can. The description of field is also good to have, so we know what is the purpose of that application. But the most important, let's say, setting here, or the item here, is a checkbox, use existing solution to create the app. That one will allow us to see on the next page that we can select our existing solution. So our existing solution is called Contoso, and then we will see what are the available sitemaps in that solution. In our case, since we are using only one model-driven app, which is called Contoso, we can see only one sitemap, which is also called Contoso. In case when you will have multiple apps in your solution, you will see also multiple apps. So by selecting this sitemap, we are just saying that we want to use that sitemap for generation of our model-driven app. As you can see, as soon as we finish this process, our new model-driven application is created, and we already have there some of the entities which were part of our original sitemap. The next step, which we should probably do, is maybe do some kind of the adjustments in our sitemap. Of course, it's not mandatory, but just for a sample, you can see that in our sample, we will just add a new group, which will be called the dashboards, and we will just put there a new item, which will open specific dashboard, which we want to have available for our users in this specific application. So we will just select dashboard, and then we will find out that which dashboard we want to select, so what will be a default dashboard. As soon as we are done, we will just click on the save button, which will actually save our sitemap, and then we can go back to App Designer just by clicking on App Designer in the left top navigation menu. Next step, which you probably will do, is doing some kind of the adjustments in case of the entities. So each application can have multiple entities, and we can define what should be available from these entities. So which forms, views, charts, and also dashboards should be available in that specific application. In our sample, we will just find a new custom entity, which is called subscription. And as soon as we will select that entity, We will also find it in the list of the entities at the bottom. What we want to do next, we just want to define that what are the forms which should be really available in that specific application, because by default, as you can see, there are available all forms. So based on the privileges of specific user, they will see a number of forms. So if your users are using multiple forms, they will see form selector, which can consume some space in header. But if they should see only one, we can also achieve it by selecting specific form here. So we will select that which forms should be available for this specific entity. And we want to also define that what will be the forms which we want to have available here. This is a great thing because it will allow us to create really a unique experience for same user across different applications. So same user with same privileges can see different things in different applications, and it will not be really disruptive for them to see maybe some of the other forms or some of the other views which are maybe not relevant to that specific application. As soon as we will save our changes which we made here, so we add entities, we add filtering for forms and views, there are just one or two last steps which we need to do, and we also recommend to do it before each time you are going to publish your application. First step is validation. As you can see, in an app designer, we have a button validate, which will run some kind of the internal validation of your application and also sitemap. What we can see here, a validation service is telling us that it found 8 possible warnings, which are maybe the behavior which we don't want really. And it's just really warning. It's saying that we have basically 8 entities where we are not filtering forms and views. So basically all forms and all views will be available in that application. In general, we should really fix it. Just select which forms and views we need and don't allow to see all possible forms. But there is also one additional tab on the right side. So you can see that there is a tab with the dependencies. So validation service identified that there is an entity called appointment, which is not part of our application, but probably it's in a sitemap. There are two ways how we can fix this type of the issue. We can use it in the same way as I was showing in a minute, or we can also just select appointment entity here and use add dependencies button for adding that entity here. So as we can see, appointment entity was added to our application, and what we just need to do is save our application. As soon as we save our application, and we will expect that we fixed all possible issues and we are aware of some of the warnings and we accept them, we should run validation again. So we will validate our application and sitemap again. We will review what are the warning messages or validation results. And since we didn't find anything what should block us from deployment of this application or from publishing this application, we will just click on Publish button. And this publishing is a standard publishing in Dynamics 365. So it's making this available, making this application available in App Selector. And if we have enough permissions, and since we are customizing and we are system customizers, we have enough permissions, we can start playing with this application. So just by clicking on play button, we can open our application and start playing around. At that point of time, our application is published, and only system administrators and customizers have access to this application. What we typically want to do is to allow access also for other users to access this application, because they will maybe want to test it. So the way how we are allowing access to specific application is with security roles. What we are also recommending in this case is that you should use your existing solutions. So in our case, it's a solution Contoso, because then you will probably want to also transfer that security role onto other environments as well. So from new menu, we will just select others and then security role. it will open us a new security role form, where we will just add a name of this security role. In our sample, we are using the same naming convention as Microsoft is using for our out-of-the-box application. So the name of our role will be Modern Contoso App Access. This security role, in our case, will allow access only to model-driven app for read privilege, and nothing else, because we don't want to really break your existing security model. We just want to bring a new application with reflecting same security roles as your users are using today. But of course, the expectation is that the user will have all access to all entities which are used in your application. So there can be two different concepts. As soon as we will create and close that form, we will see in a second that there is already, as a part of our solution, Modern Contoso App Access security role, and we are ready for assigning that security role to our application which we just created. Again, there is a lot of ways how you can do these things. We are just showing you one of the possible. So you can just use three dots which are next to your application, your model-driven app, and use share button. That share button will show you a guide with all steps which are necessary for allowing access or sharing access to that specific application. So the first step is creating a security role. This is something what we already have done. Second step is assigning that security role to users. That's something what we can have done later, since we are maybe working in development environment. And first step is really something what we are going to do right now. So we need to say that this specific model-driven app should use this specific security role. So for users which have security role Modern Contoso App Access, they should see that application. So I will just quickly filter out our available apps, because we have multiple apps, and I will select Modern Contoso application. With the three dots, there will be again two options. One is Open App Designer, and second one is Manage Security Roles. If we will select Manage Security Role, then we will see list of all available security roles. So we will just select that we want to add one additional. By default, there is a System Administrator and System Customizers, and we want to say that also users with Modern Contoso App Access security role should see this application. As soon as we will save this one, your users with this specific security role will be able to see our Modern Contoso application as well in their app selector, and also on my apps site, and even for home.dynamics.com. What is really important when you are really creating parallel or even a pilot app is really gathering feedback from your users, really hearing that how they are feel about the unified interface, if they maybe see some potential improvements, and if it's really doing what they expect that it's doing. So at this phase, we successfully created a new app which contains same customizations as your existing application in the web client. And based on quick test, you already know areas where you need to which need your attention. So now you can deep dive into these issues and start fixing them. Your application is also ready for deployment, so you can deliver it to other environments like acceptance or production, and make it available for some of your key users or maybe testers. We already talked about the pilot app. So pilot app really should be a small functionality for specific group of people and bringing them really a high value. So let's have a look how you can plan this type of the application. So in the same way as when you are planning development of any other application, you should start with an idea. So you should really think that what will be a right use case for your users, which will bring them high value, and you are able to really make it in short term. Because spending a lot of time for something and then piloting it, and at the end maybe users will not like it, it's probably not the right way which you want to go. When you will designing this type of the application, we in general recommend to really keep number of your customizations on a low level and try to really leverage standard capabilities, because there is really a lot of new stuff in unified interface, and we are still working on improving these out of the box capabilities. So it's really good to use them. So for example, like in case of the timeline, there will be some new improvements in the next update. So for customers which are using timeline, the existing timeline, and they didn't decide for implementing their own solution for that one, they can immediately start benefiting from that update. Also, during the implementation, it's really important to keep in mind and review that what are really some new features and possibilities in a unified interface. Like, for example, a lot of new controls which are available, maybe using embedded Canvas app or Power Apps component framework and others, because all of these features will help you to create really a modern and nicely looking user interface. And at the end, your users will be really happy when they will use this type of the interface, because they don't want to really see just a plain text, numbers, and so on. They would like to see there maybe some charts, maybe some nice buttons and other stuff. And at the end, it will help you to improve your user adoption and make your users be more productive. In case of the deployment, as I already mentioned, we are not really recommending anything else, just following what you already have set up. So follow your standard application lifecycle management, which is already in place. Don't try to find some other way, because at the end, it can cause more problems than benefits. As I already mentioned, feedback and development of apps is something what is really mandatory. So we really should speak with end users, with people which are really using these applications, and getting feedback from them, improving it, and maybe implementing these changes. That's really a way how you can bring really a great user experience for your users, and making them really use what you are doing. Because if you will leave it only within the IT team will decide it based on their best thinking, but they are not end user of these applications. So you definitely should speak with your end users. Here we have a quick sample that how that type of the pilot app could looks like. In our case, we selected the pilot app, which could be for salespeople. So let's say that salesperson will come to the office in the morning and they will open Dynamics 365. There is a lot of probably discussions that what should be the first thing which they want to see. In our case, we selected something new, what we have, or something what was completely redesigned in unified interface, and that's interactive dashboard. So for these of you which really didn't see what is this new experience, it's really that you can filter subgrids below based on just clicking and selecting some of the items in your charts. There can be a lot of different type of the charts. It's completely up to you how you will decide define these things. But for end users, it's really bringing possibilities that they can immediately find these specific records which they are looking for. So for example, let's say that they are looking for customers which are from source, let's say advertisements for this specific month. So just with the 2 clicks, they are able to immediately find that specific lead, and they don't need to do any filtering, advanced find, or some other way. And I think that that's the best for them, because just with the 2 clicks, they can immediately find what they need. If we will take a look, for example, on grids, you probably saw this new improvements which will come with the release wave 2 in release notes. So you can see that here are also some kind of the improvements, but in general, what is really important for end users is really that how they form will, for example, looks like. So you can see that, for example, in this case, salesperson immediately can see some of the progress measures. If they want to rate this customer, they don't need to enter just a whole number there. They can use this new out of the box start rating control. Or if they want to really say that this is a VIP customer, they have just a new modern flip button instead of just using something different. On the right side, we can see that there is already a new timeline with new improvements, which you will find in Reach Notes. And also, if they want to see that what are, for example, contacts for that my customers, so people which are working in that company, they can see, for example, their images there. It can be, for example, from LinkedIn or manually uploaded, and their function, so they can immediately know that, okay, I'm looking for this specific person because this is the owner of this specific account. Or if they just want to take a look where exactly this customer is, so their location, they will just take a look on Bing map on right side, and they immediately see these informations. But what is also very, I would say, frequent ask maybe from salespeople or for people which are working with customers is really organizing their meetings and being able to really see it in the same way as, for example, in Microsoft Outlook, because they maybe use the same approach on their mobiles and so on. So they would like to really see it in a calendar. That's something what you can do pretty much quickly. So you can just define your specific view, and you can just say that this view will use a calendar view. Calendar view is also available out of the box, so you don't need to develop anything new. You can just select that this view will use calendar view, and that's it. Since that time, you have it there. I think that your users will really like when you will show them that they can see their appointments in this view, because it's much better just showing some rows in table. So that's a sample of that type of the application. There is much more probably what can be done, but let's have a look on one additional thing. So one of the most frequent questions which we are getting from our customers is really that when they should start. So when is the right time for starting? We are saying that the best time is really as soon as possible. There is a lot of reasons behind this one. So you probably know, or some of you which already tried unified interface, that unified interface can really bring a lot of positive impact and improvements in user experience. And also when you will have more time for this type of the project or transition, it can also bring better results, because if you have enough time, you can do more testing, you can do more trainings for your users, and you can also adopt some of the new features which maybe you cannot do when you will start maybe too late. In general, when we are speaking with the customers which are moving from Dynamics CRM on-premise to our Dynamics 365 online solution, we are saying then that this is the right time when you really should consider moving to unified interface, because you will bring completely a new platform to your users, and will be great to use also the latest features and user interface which are available in cloud. For other customers where you already have deployed your solutions in production, and you would like to bring a unified interface at the end of this calendar year, maybe as a Christmas gift or beginning of next year, you should already start. And there is a lot of advantages of selecting this approach. One of the advantages is really new features and new capabilities. So everything what we as a Microsoft are introducing as a new features and capabilities are available only in unified interface. So we are really not making a lot of investments in a web client. Then another super important advantage for a lot of customers will be speed. the speed is visible better, and the unified interface is really visible faster than web client. You will be able to immediately see it when you will start with a quick test. And I think that is a very good reason for starting this journey. But there is also a lot of other reasons, like you maybe know that unified interface is really a modern and fully responsive design, so it's really working fine on different resolutions and so on. You have really similar experience like you have on mobile, and at the end, this new interface and the fact that it's really visible faster will also help you with the end user adoption. Early validation, it's something what will actually help you to really view that what is the required effort as a part of your unified interface transition, which you will need to invest, and help you also to position unified interface with your business. Because one of the things which maybe you know, maybe not, is that Microsoft is deploying user interface changes only in major updates. So it's 2 times per year. So in April and in October. Outside of these major updates, we don't want to really bring disruptive changes to you. So actually, you are also limited from this point of view. When you will start really adopting a unified interface early, there is still a lot of time, and you can report your blockers to us, to Microsoft, and we can also triage these information from you, and we can provide and bring a solution or fix for your situation sooner. But if you will still just postponing this type of the activities, then basically we also will need more time for fixing your blockers or for bringing something what will be beneficial for you. Another super frequently asked question is really, which we are getting from our customers, is really that how long it should take. So this question it's really difficult to get an exact answer. There is a number of different factors which can have an effect on timing to move across to the unified interface. We have, for example, customers that are very fast and others which can take a little bit longer to make the move. Some of considerations are as follow-ups, and we can talk more about this in chapter 3. And we also plan to use our community web, which will go live in August, for sharing some of these stories. So the next action currently is on your side. So start really trying exploring unified interface, really take a look how your customizations looks like in unified interface, and start really preparing your transition plan. This is a chapter 2. So it's the second chapter of our unified interface playbook. There will be also 2 other chapters, which will be chapter 3, which we are going on 19th of August at same time as this part, and also chapter 4, which is 1 week later, so 26th of August. In chapter 3, we will talk a little bit deeper about a transition paths and planning. And in chapter 4, we will really talk that how you can really maximize this opportunity. So for really getting the best from this one, and also about some other details like roadmap and gaps and issues. If you are interested about some of the content, including this content which you just saw, we will publish them on our community site. This is already fixed URL, so you can take a screenshot or put it to your bookmarks. We expect that beginning of August it will become live, and there will be also other content, not only unified interface playbook. If you would like to see some other videos, some other learnings about unified interface, you can take a look on the following videos from Business Applications Summit. If there are some questions, I am happy to answer them.
So Martin, the questions that came in on the chat have been answered on chat. I'll just give it some time to see if any new questions come in and I can pass them on to you.
Sure.
So if anybody on the call has a question, just hit it on the Q&A on the side.
And while we wait, I would ask Martin. So Martin, what has been the feedback for the customers that we've been helping to migrate to unified interface in general?
Yeah, the feedback was really great. I mean, all of at least my customers really like how new unified interface looks like, how it's really visible faster for them comparison to web client. I'm usually saying, because some of my customers didn't want to trust me, I told them really try to put two browsers on left side and right side. I really try to navigate from grid to form and try to compare the speed. I think the feedback after that one was really great, and that end users really like how a new user interface looks like, and also some of the new controls which they can use there.
So I think that's a wrap. Just want to remind everyone, Chapter 3 will be broadcasted on the 19th of August, and the final chapter, Chapter 4, will be on the 26th of August, same time. Please tune in to continue with us in this journey. So thank you all for joining, and hope to see you on the next event. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and I hope that you will follow up on Chapter 3.